Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today we're working out of, it's a new book for us, but this probably won't be the first recipe you guys see from this book. But we're going to be working from Teresa Carl Sanders' Outlander Kitchen 2 cookbook. I don't think we've made anything from this one yet, but I've got a bunch of things marked and we're going to be making another thing after this. But today we are making preserved lemons. So I don't think I've ever had preserved lemons. I've certainly never made preserved lemons. I've never cooked with them before, but all of a sudden they're everywhere. There's a recipe that I want to make that has preserved lemons in it, and I've got to make that soon. So I'm not going to be able to use these because these are going to take, I think, 3 to 4 weeks at least. So yeah, you won't see this for quite a while from when we're starting it. So I'm gonna have to buy some and then I'll be able to compare and contrast. But there are a few recipes in this book that use the preserved lemons. And I also found a recipe for preserved lemons in Ashley Christensen's It's Always Freezer Season book, but this one seemed a little bit easier. I don't know. It's all very similar, but I wanted to make something with them from this book. So I decided to go ahead and do it from this book. So most of this is preparation, and I have washed my quart jar with hot soapy water and left it to air dry. I've washed this lid. We're not gonna seal it. So a lid like this, it's airtight. It has like a silicone thing in it. It's plastic. That's really great for me. I end up using the other lids and I don't know which of the 2-piece lids, the wax part that's been sealed has been used or not. And anyway, I prefer these when it's just going to go in the refrigerator, which is what this is going to do. So that's been washed. I've washed my hands, warm and soapy water, and I've got lemons, quite a few of them. I don't feel like they're all going to fit in here, but we'll fit in what we can, and that's why I haven't pre-prepared them. I'm going to do it as I go, so I only cut up the ones I need. But these have been scrubbed with a brush with warm water so that they don't get any dirt or impurities, and these should be blemish-free. Preferably organic, mine are not. But the first thing we need to do is to add some salt. So really it's salt and lemons in a jar, and that is it. I'm using this coarse sea salt because she says to use coarse or kosher salt. I happen to have this for something else that I made. I don't remember exactly. And it's just kind of going to waste, and I figure it'll be fine. So we're going to start with a little bit in the bottom of the jar. But otherwise, we're not really measuring this. And I'm going to put some in here that I'm going to use with my hands. And I'll put more in there if I need it. So I'm going to start with some of the smaller ones. And we're going to cut the tops and the bottoms off, basically, so you don't have those end pieces. And then we're going to cut this into quarters, but not fully. So we're going to go all but like a 1/2 inch. That may be a little bit too much. Down like that. Maybe a little more on that one. So we have this sort of wobbly, more easily mushed into the jar thing. And we're going to pack it with salt. So yeah, we're going to pack the salt into these lemons, liberally sprinkling it between the quarters, just to kind of make sure it gets all in there. We're going to use a lot of salt. And then we're going to put this in our jar, and we're going to kind of firmly pack these in. So I'm going to keep doing that with the rest of my lemons. In the end, they should be completely submerged in their own juices, which mine are not. I don't know if I could have done a better job smooshing these down, but she says to add more lemon juice. I'm going to, if you need it. So I'm going to juice a lemon. I think that the size of my lemons and the shape of this jar not being fully up and down, and having like, probably didn't work as well for my favor, but I'm not worried about straining out these seeds because guess what? There are seeds in there already. And we're almost covered at that point, but I think I'm going to need, maybe not, some more. All right, that is good. That is pretty much covered. And the last thing we need to do, besides get a little bit of this lemon juice off my hands, is put some more of this salt over top. So for me, I used 8 lemons, but only about 5 of them are in there, and I used the other 3 just for their juices. I'm going to put this lid on, and we're going to let it sit at room temperature for 2 to 3 days. And each day we're going to turn it upside down and shake it to redistribute the salt and the liquids. I will show you what that looks like when we do it the first time, but yeah. After that, we put it in the refrigerator, and then we turn it upside down another, every other day or so for 3 to 4 weeks. We'll show you what we need to do with this. Probably not talk about it very much because I just told you, and then let you know what we think in about 4 weeks. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Day 2. It's probably been about, I don't know, a little over 12 hours, so not quite 24. Our preserved lemons, I'm going to turn it upside down, shake it up a little bit. There's still undissolved salt in there, but that looks like it helped somewhat. And I'm a little concerned that kind of see not all of the lemons are under the water anymore. Under the water, the lemon juice and salt. But we'll hope that's okay. Yes, that's all of my canned items back there that I need to find somewhere to store. All right, we are on day 3 of this, and most of the salt has dissolved, and it is time to put this in the refrigerator, where we will do the same thing every couple of days until the skins have softened, and then they'll be done. She says 3 to 4 weeks. Okay, so this has been in the refrigerator for a while. It looks like not quite all of the salt is remaining. Well, it wasn't quite all dissolved anyway, but I'm sure it's fine. So I'm just shaking it up, putting it back in. I think we are almost a week total, and I think it's supposed to take something like 3 or 4 weeks. I will check that out, but I'm going to keep doing that every couple days, just to make sure, it doesn't all just get settled to the bottom, and we'll see you when it's done. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make preserved lemons from the Outlander Kitchen 2 cookbook by Teresa Carl Sanders. This one is To the New World and Back Again. And I do have to apologize for my usual laundry in the background. It's very loud right now. Anyway, so we made the preserved lemons. Right now it has been 2 full months. So it's been at least 8 weeks since we started these. And we did leave them, I think at about 4 weeks, I felt the rinds and they were softened, which they should be. So these are the ones I made, and I was going to show you the difference between the ones I bought, since I ended up having to buy some for a different recipe that I was making before these were done. Anyway, so these are definitely smaller. You can kind of see, I don't know if you can kind of see that this is a much smaller jar and there are 2 of them in here. And I think there are 2 in just the bottom of this. So they are a lot smaller. They're a little bit darker, browner sort of. I don't know if that's just with age. I don't know how long these have been aged. They are Moroccan preserved lemons. So I don't know if that's anything a little different, but she says rinse and cut to your liking. So I wasn't aware that most of the recipes that I've seen that use these only use the zest part of the rind. So you just rinse it and get rid of everything but sort of the very outer layer of the rind. If you have any other recipes that use other parts, I'd love to see them. I just haven't seen any of those. And if you have any other recipes for preserved lemons, please let me know in the comments down below, because I now have a lot to use up. There is one other, we've made one recipe, which you'll see soon, with the ones that we made from this book. And we really liked that, so I'll definitely make those again. But there is one other recipe, but it's really a cold weather type recipe. I believe it was a warm drink. So we're going to wait a little bit on that one before we make it, but we will probably make that as well. But I found this really easy. You just there's a lot of salt, takes a lot of lemons, but it's pretty easy. You just sort of let it sit and remember about it. Remember to put it in the refrigerator, when she tells you to, just 2 or 3 days. Is all it sits out for that portion, and then it's done, and then it just can sit in your refrigerator for, I think she says, up to 6 months. So but I don't know, depending on how much lemons are in your area, I don't know really the difference between making your own and buying them as far as, cost wise. And it depends if you only need a few. And this is only, I think this was a total of 3, because there are 2 in here and I've used 1, I believe. So it was only 3 in this jar. So really it depends what you like, how many you use. If you have a bunch of recipes that use them, if you really like to use them, then making your own probably makes good sense. Or if you have a lemon tree or access to very cheap lemons, sometimes they're much more expensive. I think in the winter, citrus tends to be cheaper. I'll have to actually pay attention to that. But anyway, so I would do it again if I had recipes that I wanted to use it in. But as this was the first time I really used preserved lemon, and we did like the recipe. So, we'll see. We'll see if we end up really liking it and end up putting it into our rotation. So anyway, if you've enjoyed watching me make this, please give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, share this with your friends, and come back and watch me make something else next week.